Another powerful hurricane makes landfall in the United States. This one, Hurricane Milton, hitting Florida just days after Hurricane Helene left a path of devastation and destruction from Florida to North Carolina. Before those two storms, Hurricane Debbie hit Florida's Big Bend region. Francine made landfall in Louisiana in September, and Hurricane Beryl stormed through Texas in July. Is this the new norm? Dan Chavas, associate professor at Purdue University, says hurricanes are gradually becoming more intense and hurricane season is expanding.
We've seen more frequently storms occurring before June 1st and after November 30th. And this is because the climate's warming, the environment in which hurricanes form is becoming more favorable.
Once again, climate activists say these hurricanes are all a result of climate change. We urgently need to do something about it before it's too late. Our next guest believes more is at play here than science. Frank Lasee is author of Climate and Energy Lies, Expensive, Dangerous, and Destructive. Frank, this year, 5 hurricanes have made landfall in the U.S. Only 2 were Category 1. The rest quite destructive, bringing high winds, 20-foot high storm surge, flooding. Climate seems to be going crazy. So many people would say climate change is real. So what's the lie?
Well, they want us to think that. We're being continually propagandized on every single issue. And the fact is we've always had hurricanes. We always will have hurricanes. We can't stop them. And it's kind of a lie, the premise that if we just had less CO2, somehow we wouldn't have hurricanes. It's not the truth whatsoever. In the last 100 years, the most active decade was 1940 for hurricanes. We had 25 landfalling hurricanes in the decade of the 1940s. And we had, I think, five Category 5 hurricanes. Those are the most powerful ones. If you go back through history, the most destructive in terms of deaths was in 1780. It killed 22,000 people. And that decade was very active for hurricanes as well. And we just went through about a 3-decade period where we actually had less hurricanes than historically average. So we're being told that this is a new norm, that this is terrible, unprecedented. Simply not true. Like Asheville being flooded, it was flooded in 1940 and 1913 or 16, one of those two, to the equal or even worse. And there was even a great flood before that that were recorded. So they pretend as if these have never happened. And that's why they switched, I think, from global warming, because it may or may not continue to warm. We don't have any control over that. And they've switched to climate change and emphasizing climate. And there are always going to be weather events around the world. And the fact is that worldwide deaths from climate-related, weather-related type events is down by 90% because we're better able to handle it. We have better warning systems. People get out of the way of the storms. So we're being lied about that. And then we also are lied about how much damage they cause. Yes, they cause a lot of damage. But if you look at pictures, and in my book, you'll see that a picture of Miami 70, 80 years ago when there's almost nothing there. And now you have millions of people in high-rise apartments and lots of houses, and we have a lot more to lose. So when a hurricane hits Florida, for instance, yes, it's in the billions because we have a lot more people and a lot more billions of property to lose.
And you believe the lies and propaganda spread fear among the populace. Climate alarmism is created to shift wealth to corporations? Tell us more.
Well, that's exactly what this is about. The climate grifters are getting very, very wealthy off the government subsidies. And the Chinese are also getting wealthy off of, or at least improving their economy dramatically, because they make 80% of the wind and solar and some of the only components that go into batteries. They're the only supplier in the world. And they make most of the batteries in the world. So this wind, solar, and batteries idea is getting the climate grifters wealthy, because without the 30% to build and the 30% subsidy for all the electricity that they produce from the government, with money we don't have, adding to our $35 trillion national debt, they really wouldn't exist because they're not economical, they're more expensive. And the corporate interests are getting very wealthy. And climate change is really, the narrative is really about controlling all of this, because everything we do, eat, consume, get, watch Netflix, talk right now, watch this, all require and release CO2. And CO2 is mega plant food. It's airborne miracle-gro.
Well, what can we do then? A lot of Americans are suffering right now from this destruction and hardship caused by the hurricanes. The effects of these massive storms is real. So what can we do?
Well, it's a tragedy, and they are real, and they're going to continue to happen no matter what we do. And we've got to do our best. We should be building, and rather than wasting hundreds of billions of dollars on wind and solar, pretending that that's going to change or fix the weather, we should be investing that money into hardening our management of these issues. Very hard in Asheville, for instance, when you get just massive flooding and dump all a couple feet of rain. We should do what Netherlands did 500 years ago. We should harden against weather events rather than wasting money on trying to change the future of the weather.
Okay, the book is Climate and Energy Lies: Expensive, Dangerous, and Destructive. Despite the propaganda about why it's happening, I'm sure you join me in keeping the victims of these storms in our prayers and doing what we can to help. Okay, Frank Lasee, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.